Hello, this is the winning horoscope, personal horoscope video for August. The winner is Bronnie, and Bronnie was born in St. Louis in Missouri on the 16th of October 1979. Apologies for looking down, I'm reading the will which has just come straight out of the printer. Okay, first off we see that Bronnie is a Libra, quite late, 22 degrees. And we also have in Bronnie's chart Pluto, the planet of truth and transformation, power, also in Libra. It's in 19 degrees, so it's 3 degrees apart from the sun. So this is a person who you could say there is almost karmic stuff that goes around. Things seem to happen for reasons. And this is a person who is very conscious, I think, of situations, and the Pluto-Sun dimension means that there can be periods of huge growth and transformation, but they're not always easy. It's a very potent thing. This is a person with a voice that needs to be heard, and sometimes that power also has to be used wisely. It's very persuasive, that's for sure. Now, because they're in Libra, it is possible that Bronnie is someone who will really want to speak up to for those people less fortunate and have an interest in their qualities and stuff like that. But just looking down, the moon is also in the rather practical area of Virgo, and it's in the 6th house. And also, just looking down furthermore, there is also Saturn in Virgo in the 6th house. This suggests someone who has a real eye for detail and needs to feel quite organised in their life, and if things aren't quite falling into place, it could make them feel a bit on edge and irritable, quite honestly. It's important that there is that sense that everything is in its place. There is also, it's not really just because of the moon being in Virgo in the 6th house. I think the Saturn stuff really reinforces that need for a degree of structure, and this could be someone who really does know quite a bit about how to look after themselves from a physical viewpoint, or if they're not so enlightened in terms of diet and exercise, it could be that if they overdo it, they can still soon feel it when it comes to too much calorific goodies or booze or whatever. But there could be a sense with this person that they do need to have a certain amount of purity in their life. There needs to be that order, and if it's not there, things may be difficult. But the thing that I spot just straight away looking down this wheel is the amount of influences in the 7th house. We've got the Sun, we've got Venus, planet of relating, Mercury, the planet of talk and thought, and we've also got Uranus, the planet of freedom and unpredictability. They're all in the sector of relating. Now, it's not necessarily the case that the Sun is strong in Libra, because if you think about it, the Sun, when it's in Aries, it's the start of its journey, so it's the actualization of who we are as an individual. And also this person's ascendant happens to be in Aries, and it's shining right back across the heavens towards the Sun. What you can get with this opposition, I think, is someone who maybe not everyone gets them first time round. They have to get to know them. It could be that there can be times when people get completely the wrong end of the stick about this person. They may have difficulties in actualizing who they are in the way they really want at times. However, the lovely thing about Venus being in the 7th house is that it does give people an intuitiveness, a need for harmony and balance in the way they relate to people. And with Mercury in this location too, I think the picture here is about being a bit more objective when people don't necessarily agree with them. But what makes the stakes that much higher on both these 7th house positions is both these planets are located in Scorpio. So this is a person who's got a lot of heat, a lot of passion knocking around, and the house positions are struggling to try and keep things on an even keel, and occasionally that may get harder to achieve, particularly when I look at where Mars is, because Mars is in Leo, and when Mars is in Leo it needs attention, and very often people with Mars in Leo are quite assertive characters. They're people that if you live in the environment that they occupy, you'll know that they're there. They often can be very good at amateur dramatics, brilliant at performance, appear in bands, dance, anything to do with creativity and being out there in a confident way, well, Mars in Leo in the 5th house, you've got it all there. So I think this is a person who can be very, very self-expressive and probably extraordinarily charismatic at times too. Now then, we've also got Jupiter, the planet of expansion and growth in Jupiter, but it's in the 5th house. So, in Virgo, in the 5th house. So, and we also have Saturn in the 5th house too. So there's in fact 3 lots of 6th house, plus we've got 3 house positions in the 6th house too. So this sort of need to have everything just so kind of goes against some of the other parts of the chart, which is more about being really quite laid back and letting things go if things aren't always on their terms. Someone who will fit in with other people, but then there may be like a reaction where they need to go back to what makes them feel truly straight and on an even keel, and if things aren't on an even keel, it can be profoundly unsettling. Now with Uranus also in the 7th house, and Uranus is very, very close to Mercury, sometimes there can be very big connections to people, perhaps at an intellectual level, burst of enthusiasm, lots of chat, really get on well, but then these relationships can not necessarily last very long. So again, a certain amount of impermanence around relating in some respects. Now, with Pluto being in the 6th house and very, very close to the Sun, I just think this is a person who's just going to keep going through change after change in their life. Life is not going to be one very predictable road without any bumps in it. There's bumps in the road for all of us, or for most of us, because none of us can control, for example, the political or economic climate. So even if we have really settled, happy relationships or family life, something can still come up that we can't personally change. We have to react to it. But I think there can be times when change just seems to be almost permanent, and for someone who needs a certain amount of order, balance, that can be quite hard going, not necessarily easy to deal with. In terms of future prosperity, the path of fortune is in the 11th house in Pisces, suggesting that through all the lessons that can be learned, there can be a spiritual awareness that develops during that journey. So this is quite a karmic chart, but I do think it's one that can be competitive, very sympathetic and empathetic to people, but sometimes if there are people this person encounters they don't like, they're going to be quite staunch in standing up for what they believe in. So quite a lot of oscillation between different points. It's a very action-packed chart. It's an exciting chart. It's a person with a lot of energy, a lot of charisma, I would say. But things are not necessarily going to be unpredictable. And I think that, therefore, at times that can be frustrating. But let's look at it this way. There really will never be a dull moment. And I think this is a person who really can have a lot of understanding of person kind. And as they get older, their relationships will become so much more important to them as they really see the value that can be gained from cooperation, reaching out and meeting people who perhaps in some cases may be completely different, but bring some kind of complementary impact on this person's life. Thank you for joining me. I hope that's been helpful, and goodbye for now.